If you are looking to add a spacer to your rear shock, maybe make it a little bit more progressive, or if you want to remove one and make it a little bit more linear, then here's how you can do it in hopefully 5 minutes. Okay, first thing you want to do is to clean your shock. Give it a nice clean so that there's no grit or dirt or anything that can fall into the air can after you've closed it. Next up, take note of your air pressure and your sag setting. Now, if you're changing the spacers in here, adding or removing, then you're changing the volume of your air can, which means to match the same sag as what you had before, you might need a different pressure in there. So if you just measure the distance to your O-ring after you've sat on the bike and affected that sag, then that distance is what you're gonna match. So I'm running about 20 mil movement here, so I'm gonna match that when I change the spacers so that my sag is still running at 30%, which is what it is at the moment. Next up, you need to remove all of the air from your air can. Absolutely so important. I would recommend using a shock pump and make sure it goes all the way to 0. Double check it, and then I'd go as far as to release the air from the valve after you've disconnected it as well, maybe with a pick or your finger, and make sure you've double checked that all of the air has come out. Great thing about the Fox rear suspension system is that you can usually access the spacers while the shock is still on the frame. And I've got quite a simple open system here, which means I can actuate this air can down and get to the spacers. But if you have a more complicated system that covers this air can, or if you have a RockShox system, then you might need to check out Doddy's more detailed video on air can services to see how you can remove that and how you can unscrew the can to access the spacers. My one here has a circlip and a retaining clip to remove, and then it should just move down out the way easy enough. So you should be able to move the retaining clip around, and you should be able to move this air can around to align some holes. Now there's 2 methods of getting this circlip off. One is to align those holes and then use one of the picks to get into a hole and hook it out of its place and then kind of chase it around to the other end. The other method, if you're struggling with that one, is to get 2 picks or 2 really small screwdrivers to get in there and push the circlip from either end until the back end pops out, and then you kind of chase the 2 ends back towards each other. This is going to be a fiddly one though. So you've done all the hard work now with that circlip, and all you have to do is pull the cover down, and then you'll reveal all of the little notches so that you can put your spacers in. Now, these will be brand specific and also model specific. So for my Float X2 here, then my spacers just clip together around these joins. And I think it's important to note that you can put them anywhere you want. They don't have to back up to each other. Just get it in a space that you can easily access. If you've got a different model to me, the Float X2, maybe you've got a DPX2 for example, and you don't have the circlip, then it's just a case of unscrewing the can. So if you look up the shaft towards the air can, it's a lefty-loosey anti-clockwise motion to unscrew it. And you should be able to access your spacers just the same. Or check out Doddy's more in-depth video where he's dealing with a RockShox shock as well. So you've either added or removed a spacer, you're pretty much done there. All you have to do is put the air can sleeve back on. You might need to align some notches and just wiggle it into place gently until it's fully closed and you can see the groove for your circlip to go back in. Now this is the final fiddly bit, and it can be a little bit fiddly, is to put the circlip back on. And you just need to get it into that little recess and make sure it is completely in there. Nothing is staying proud. And the best way to do this is to chase the circlip around with your pick or whatever, and usually it starts to settle by itself. So all you need to do now is to pop your air back in, check that sag measurement, make sure you're happy with it, and it's good to equalize the positive and negative chamber by just activating the suspension every 50 psi or so, and then keep pumping it up to your desired pressure. So if you found this video useful, do give us a thumbs up. And if you're new to the channel, why not hit subscribe for more useful videos in the future? Thanks for watching.